Thank you, Madam President and colleagues. First of all, let me say that as a co-author of SB 277, I was very proud of working with Dr. Pan. I think it was righteous legislation, and as a pharmacist, I fully support it. And we have to have a 95% herd immunized constituency if we're going to protect our children and even adults. A lot of people don't know this, but I got measles at 35 years old, and I was properly immunized. I didn't know I needed a second booster. And I was hospitalized for a week. I was packed in ice when my bodily temperature got up to over 106, and I actually almost died. The virus attacked my liver, and my wife and my mom were in the hospital, and the doctor said, I don't know if he's going to make it. By the will of God, I made it, and I'm happy that I was able to move on, although it took me about a month to recover. A lot of people think that measles and chickenpox are kind of synonymous with one another. They're not. Measles is a virulent disease. It can kill you. 1 out of 1,000 infants, children, died. So I do have some concerns, though, regarding SB 276. It mandates that if a child needs a vaccination medical exemption, their health care provider must submit a request to the Department of Health. And Dr. Pan rightfully describes that the officer at the Department of Health is a physician that's going to be looking at the CDC guidelines for making exemptions, which to me is maybe not as comprehensive as it should be. After it's received, the state public health officer will review the request form and either approve or deny the exemption. So why are we here today? We are here today because a handful of physicians in the state of California have abused their authority and their positions to write non-legitimate exemptions for patients. A majority of physicians that are writing for exemptions are doing it based on their medical teachings and their viewpoints of medical science. The difference, though, between having the medical board enforce this new law as opposed to the Department of Health is that the Department of Health cannot cite a physician. They can't put their license on probation. They can't revoke their privileges of being a physician if they're not following good Hippocratic oath. So that is a concern of mine. I think the bill is a good bill. I'm concerned, though, that it should be the medical board that oversees this, and we should be weeding out those bad physicians that are jeopardizing the health and safety of our constituency. This discovery of vaccines is undoubtedly one of the greatest medical advances of all time. And second, our state's public health must always remain a priority. But despite this, the fact that SB 276 greatly overreaches the power of the state is troubling. First, SB 276 breaks the legislature's promise. We promised when we did SB 277 in 2015 that we would allow for medical exemptions so that a parent or a child who has legitimate concerns can get a medical exemption. I've got a mother that I saw for dinner 2 nights ago that has a significant immune deficiency, and she has exemptions for her children that she will not be able to get if this law is passed unless there are amendments taken should the bill move off the floor and into the Assembly, which I hope that the author will consider her situation. She wants to stay in California. She wants her children to stay in public schools, but may be forced to be making an important decision if this goes through without being changed. Many of us voted for SB 277 because we recognize the importance of vaccinations, California's public health, and again, its medical exemptions. SB 276 directly undermines the previous decisions of the legislature. It makes us look like we're going back on our word. And to me, as an elected official, you need to keep your word. This bill makes me, a co-author of 277, look like I'm not keeping my word, and in emails I get accused of being a liar if I support this bill. My colleague from Sacramento and my friend who has authored this bill repeatedly has claimed that the goal of this bill is to target unscrupulous doctors selling fake medical exemptions. I applaud him for that. If this is the case, where is the evidence showing so? If this is in fact the case, why isn't the medical board dealing with these bad actors, these inappropriate actions by these physicians? Why are they not having their licenses reviewed, put on probation, or if they don't listen and follow good medical practice, getting their licenses in fact revoked? If bad doctors are the problem, then bad doctors warrant discipline and sanction, but not at the cost of life and liberties of families and children. As a pharmacist, my biggest problem with SB 276 is that it greatly opens the door of liability and lawsuits to doctors and the state. Section 2 provides that the Department of Health create and keep a database with a child's name and all medical records. In a social media world where everything seems to be made public, even things that are meant to be made private, health matters, especially medical records, not only deserve, but also legally warrant privacy. If we're going to ask our school districts to get medical histories of our children and whether they have exemptions or non-exemptions, to report that to the health department, I hope that if this bill moves off the floor, that the personal information, which should not be of interest to the Department of Health, should be redacted. And if nothing else, just the data of the exemptions being forwarded to the Department of Health. I think that this database that is being created in SB 276 could very well be a violation of HIPAA. It's a grave overreach of government power and ultimately violates innocent children's privacy. Colleagues, SB 276 is a slippery slope, plain and simple. The intentions of the author are good, and I think that it can be accomplished by empowering the medical board, not putting mandates on schools, and releasing our children's medical information. This bill is unprecedented and a dangerous intrusion not only into the doctor-patient relationship, but also the personal liberties of the parents and their children. Again, with all due respects to my colleague, I support what he's trying to do. I just don't think that SB 276 is the right tool to get us there. For those reasons, I urge a no vote on 276.